Hello, grade 7. Coming to the end here of our last chapter. Super important going forward here. A couple key points about the Western Canada and development of Canada. So page 320 talks about the national policy. Read that over, familiarize yourself with it. Sir John A. Macdonald's big plan, what he's going to do to finalize the West and get people to come to Canada. He was Prime Minister, but they lost the election in 1873, and now he's got to find a way to kind of get back into government. So in 1878, he wins in a landslide on what he called his national policy. 3 key features that he was going to do that would make everybody happy, that would settle the West, would bring prosperity to Canada. The railway, remember, he talked about that from the start. So promote Canadian industry. He wants people to buy goods from Canada. At this time, a lot of people in the east and a little bit more to the middle of Canada are trading with the United States, because the United States is larger, it's growing, and more people, more goods. But he's saying, no, let's buy in Canada. So he puts taxes, tariffs on United States goods, saying, no, the railway, we can ship back and forth. Goods from the East Coast can get to the West. West grain can go back. So he's trying to promote Canada, which is a great idea, make everybody prosperous. Finish the railway. Right from the start, remember he said sea to sea. He was going to build that railway. He's done it in the Maritimes and through Ontario and Quebec. He's gone into Manitoba. We talked about that with the Métis uprising and where the railroad was going to go and the surveying of land. And now he's got to get it through the rest of Canada. You'll get to page 324 eventually and see the railroad being built all the way through Canada. The last one is settle the West. Just like in Manitoba and the Red River, there's always going to be, pushback of people coming on the land. You just watch the videos that the Northwest Mounted Police, how they were set up to basically make sure that it was going to be safe for people to come to the West. Originally, with the First Nation, the Indigenous people of the land, they weren't going to just give their land up, and Canada went through this with the Métis, how there was kickback. So they wanted to make sure it was safe. So they went looking for immigrants to come to Canada, but they had to put them on the railroad, ship them across, but the RCMP had to be there to police, to make it safe for them to settle in the West. And not just the First Nation, but Americans coming up too, going looking for land. They had to make sure it was safe, and the people that were supposed to be in the land, that had bought or given the land to them, were actually living on the land. We'll get more into the land a little bit later next week, all week, about immigration to the West and everything else. Your next part, Canadian Pacific Railway. Read page 321 through 325. And just pay attention to the mistreatment. Again, Canada's doing it to somebody else. They brought Chinese workers in to build a railway because a lot of the Canadians knew it was a dangerous work and didn't want to do it. They paid them way less than the Canadian workers, gave them the harder duties, made it even hard for them to make wealth. They didn't see them as Canadian citizens. They thought they were just coming to work and they're going to leave. They put a head tax, which you'll read about on page 323, charging them to come to Canada to work. And it was unfair. They did all the work, the rough work, the explosive work, and going through the mountains and that, but they weren't recognized for it. They were mistreated. As I mentioned before, 324 shows the map of where the railway went from east to west and talks about some things that happened on 325. Super important, read that. The picture on 325 is not very large, but look who was in the picture. What nationality, what gender, group of people. Is it really a true reflection on who is in the area, or these are just the guys that wanted to get in the picture to look like they did something? So read through the pages 321 to 325. I've given you a little assignment to do, shouldn't take very long. Then next week, it'll be all on immigration to Western Canada.